and welcome to this edition of News on the Hour. I'm Rukma with you, and over the next 1 hour, we'll be taking you through all the stories making headlines across India and the world. First up, here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds high-level meeting to review prevailing COVID-19 situation in the country. Discusses various aspects relating to medicines, oxygen, ventilators and vaccination with top officials. PM says there is no substitute to testing, tracking and treatment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair another meeting to review the COVID situation in Varanasi today. Top officials, local administration and doctors who are in the front line of the fight against the pandemic to attend the meeting. As the COVID situation in the country remains grim, weekend lockdown observed by many states to control surging infections. Complete lockdown till 26th April announced in Chhattisgarh's capital Raipur. Meanwhile, vaccination drive keeps high momentum. Total of 12 crore 26 lakh doses administered so far. Campaigning continues in West Bengal for remaining phases of state assembly elections. Home Minister Amit Shah to attend multiple rallies in the state today. Other leaders from across parties are also in the forefront of the campaign. In international news, UN nuclear watchdog IAEA confirms Iran has started process of enriching uranium to 60% purity, move considered as big step towards production of weapon-grade uranium. US President Joe Biden says he will raise cap on number of refugees admitted to US this year. Statement comes after criticism following decision to keep a historically low number in place. US Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry meets South Korean Foreign Minister Chung Eui-yong in Seoul. Meeting is part of Kerry's Asia trip ahead of President Joe Biden's Leaders Summit on Climate later this month. And in sports, Barcelona win Copa del Rey, destroying Atletico Bilbao for 4-0. Lionel Messi scores twice for the Catalans, while Antonio Griezmann and Frankie de Jong score 1 goal each. London club Chelsea to play FA Cup final after defeating Manchester City 1-0 in first semi-final. Leicester City to take on Southampton in second semi-final today. And now for our top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that together India had defeated COVID last year and India can do it again with the same principles but faster speed and coordination. Prime Minister said this while chairing a meeting on Saturday to review the status of preparedness to handle the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Various aspects relating to medicines, oxygen, ventilators and vaccination were discussed. He was joined by the Cabinet Secretary, Principal Secretary to PM, Union Home Secretary, Union Health Secretary, Farmer Secretary Dr. V.K. Paul. Niti Aayog was also present. The Prime Minister stressed that there is no substitute to testing, tracking and treating. He said early testing and proper tracking remains key to reduce mortality. He also said that local administrations need to be proactive and sensitive to people's concerns. PM Modi directed that close coordination with states must be ensured in handling the pandemic and that all necessary measures must be taken to ramp up availability of hospital beds for COVID patients. Prime Minister also spoke about need to utilize full potential of India's pharmaceutical industry to meet rising demand of various medicines. He reviewed the status of supply of remdesivir and other medicines. He also directed that use of remdesivir and other medicines must be in accordance with approved medical guidelines, and their misuse and black marketing must be strictly curbed. Through the efforts of the government, capacity and production augmentation for manufacturing of remdesivir has been ramped up to provide around 74 lakh 10,000 vials per month in May, while the normal production output in January to February is just 27 to 29 lakh vials per month. Supplies have also increased from 67,900 vials on 11th April, going up to over 2,06,000 vials on 15th April. On the issue of supply of medical oxygen, the Prime Minister directed that the installation of approved medical oxygen plants should be sped up. 162 PSA oxygen plants are being installed in 32 states and union territories from PM CARES. According to officials, 1 lakh cylinders are being procured and they will be supplied to states soon. Officials are in constant touch with 12 high-burden states in assessing the current and future requirement of medical oxygen. PM Modi also reviewed the status of availability and supply of ventilators. On the vaccination front, the Prime Minister directed all officials to make efforts to utilize the entire national capacity in public as well as private sector to ramp up vaccine production. Prime Minister Modi will be chairing a meeting to review the COVID-19 situation in Varanasi today. The meeting will be attended by top officials, local administration and doctors involved in fighting COVID in Varanasi. Joining us now is our correspondent Arun Sharma on the phone line to give us more details about all the steps being taken with the Prime Minister at the helm, all the steps being taken by the government. Well, Arun, a very good morning to you. The government stepping up efforts further in order to deal with surging infections of COVID-19. Well, the Prime Minister held a very important meeting. He went into each and every detail and stressed on tracing, tracking and treatment. Give us more inputs about how you review the entire meeting that he held, the high-level meeting that he held.
Well, talking about the high-level meeting that was, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday evening, it was a significant meeting, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi took review of the entire COVID situation in the country. There were a couple of topics that primarily dominated, this meeting. The number one was of oxygen supply. So clearly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviewed the situation, and also this was noted and it was highlighted in the meeting that close to 32 oxygen stations, the manufacturing stations, are under the establishment, and of course, government is ensuring that there is no scarcity, or of course there is no deficit as far as oxygen in the country is concerned. There are of course some of the states whereby we have witnessed that there is a deficit as far as oxygen is concerned. So on that front, government has reviewed the entire situation and is also ensuring that there is no deficit as far as oxygen is concerned, and how can oxygen supply be increased. On that front, various steps have been taken. Number two is about remdesivir injections. We have seen that recently there is a huge surge in the demand of the remdesivir injections. So on that front, primarily the government on one side has slashed this prices of remdesivir. So on the other side, there is a ban on the export of the remdesivir injections. And on third side, the government is ensuring and reviewing the situation wherever in whichever states and districts there is a need for remdesivir injections. It is being ensured that a supply can be made in the height in area whereby the requirement of the remdesivir is very much high. Last but not the least, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi again and again is urging on the fact, and yesterday also urged on the fact that test, treat and track. There is no substitute for this thing, and there is a need to ramp up the efforts so that testing, treatment and tracking can be done. More focus should be at micro-containment zone, and of course state and local administrations, they all should work in coordination, and with human touch. The authorities should treat the people primarily. There should be a human touch in their approach. So these are some of the big highlights, that were discussed when Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviewed the situation. And of course, he's constantly monitoring the situation as far as the COVID-19 virus is concerned. Rukma.
Right. The Prime Minister also said how India unitedly, as we had once fought the infections, the virus, the pandemic, in fact, last year, we can do it again this year as well. He's holding another very significant meeting today with regards to Varanasi. Could you take us through more details of that?
That's right, Rukman. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the Member of Parliament from Varanasi. And we know this fact that Varanasi, there is a huge surge as far as number of cases in the COVID-19 is concerned. So today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be reviewing the situation in a short while from now, as far as the COVID situation primarily in the city of Varanasi. The basic idea is that how can the health infrastructure can be strengthened in Varanasi. That's number one. Number two, is there any kind of deficit as far as hospital beds are concerned for the COVID patients? Because there were complaints from the people of Varanasi that there is less availability of the beds. So how can the bed availability or the bed infrastructure for the COVID patient that can be increased? That's number two. Number three, how fast the treatment can be provided to the people. How can local administration can proactively, have an approach so that they can treat people as far as Varanasi is concerned. And last but not the least, again, the strategy of testing, treating and tracking. How can this be adopted, and how can local administration, can work in tandem and work in coordination with the other authorities, so that primarily COVID-19 can, the cases or the curve primarily can be flattened in Varanasi as well. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to, again chair this meeting, is going to interact with the local authorities and the administration as far as Varanasi is concerned on the COVID front.
Right. Right, Arun. So a lot of expectations there from this meeting as well. The Prime Minister again reiterating that that testing, tracking and treating are the key words are key to fighting the pandemic once again, and India must fight it unitedly and win over it as it had done, as the people of the country had done last year too. Thank you very much, Arun, for joining us there with those updates. Meanwhile, as far as fighting COVID-19 is concerned, most states have tightened restrictions for the next 15 days under the Break the Chain campaign. In Maharashtra, Pune looked deserted, with very few people stepping out of their homes. In Mumbai too, roads were empty. Locals ran as usual, local trains that is, ran as usual, but people were seen queuing up to purchase remdesivir. The mayor has reassured that steps are being taken to ramp up supply and ensure availability of the drug. Delhi ranks third in affected states, and 19,486 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. Weekend curfew remained in force to prevent infection, and it will continue till 5 a.m. on Monday. Talking about Uttar Pradesh, it ranks second in terms of new cases. 27,360 new cases were reported, and 103 people lost their lives yesterday. Vehicles were being checked at the Delhi NCR border, and curfew continues in 10 cities, including Varanasi, Kanpur, Ghaziabad, besides capital Lucknow. Apart from this, markets, hats, business establishments, offices in urban and rural areas are closed every Sunday till May 15, 2021 under a weekly ban that has been imposed. And amid a spike in COVID-19 cases, the government of Chhattisgarh has extended the date of lockdown in 4 super spreading cities. These are Raipur, Jashpur, Korba and Raigarh. In Raipur, the lockdown has been extended up to April 26th. Earlier, the clampdown was from April 9th to the 19th. The decision of extension of lockdown was intentionally made to break the chain of COVID-19 spread in capital city, Raipur. During the extended lockdown, borders of the district will be sealed, but any movement for medical emergencies will be allowed. On Saturday, state government decided to reserve 70% of oxygen beds at all private hospitals for COVID-19 patients. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, Corona curfew has been extended till 26 April in Bhopal and Ujjain. Indore will also be under Corona curfew for 5 days from 19th through the 23rd of April. Bihar Governor Fagu Chauhan held a meeting with all parties to discuss the challenge of the pandemic. Gujarat is also in the list of 10 states most affected by COVID-19. There have been 8,920 new cases and since yesterday. Meanwhile, in Ahmedabad, local businessmen have taken the initiative to declare a self-imposed lockdown. And a review meeting on the status of COVID-19 in Karnataka was held on Saturday under the chairmanship of State Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai. In Maharashtra, the state has reported the highest number of daily new cases, numbering 63,729 on Saturday, 419 COVID-19 deaths reported on Saturday. As of today, active cases in the state stood at 6,47,933. Meanwhile, in order to reduce unnecessary vehicular movement on the roads, Mumbai Police will issue different color codes to vehicles used for essential services to reduce traffic jams. Mumbai Commissioner of Police Hemant Nagrale said those who flout norms of color codes will face police action. According to the new code, workers of financial sector and banks will have yellow stickers, while medical staff and health workers will have red color. Essential services like vegetable vendors and grain transporters have been given green color. Police have directed owners of vehicles falling under these categories to put up round stickers measuring 6 inches in diameter in front of the screen and the back screen of cars. And joining us now is our correspondent Shishir Shelar with more details about the efforts of the administration to curb the spread in order to manage vehicular traffic for one in the city of Mumbai. Shishir, take us through the new steps being taken by Mumbai Police. A lot of new measures we believe have been announced, color codes and so on.
Well, absolutely. Looking at this is the 4th day of the lockdown here. In spite of that, the Mumbaikars especially were seen on the streets. Quite a good vehicular movement were actually seen on the streets, be it Mumbai or the suburban area of Mumbai. That's the reason, keeping this in mind, the Mumbai police has come out with these ideas that those who are only working for essential services, can use the vehicles and they can, freely travel on the road. But for that, color coding has been issued by the Mumbai police. This will help reduce the traffic jam on the road, and it also curb the vehicular movement, on the streets here. So that's the reason the Maharashtra police have taken this decision. But most important thing, Rukma, let me tell you that the numbers have been increasing in Maharashtra every day. Yesterday, it was the highest number, 67,000 cases were registered in Maharashtra, and Mumbai is also witnessing the same situation here. The plight of the corona positive patient continues in Mumbai. Let me tell you that nearly, in last couple of days, nearly 168 people have been shifted to different hospital in Mumbai just because they needed oxygen, as early as possible. And that's the reason, patients were admitted in some of the private and some of the government hospital have also been shifted to the jumbo COVID facility here. So that obviously again shows that how difficult situation is in Mumbai as far as the oxygen supply is concerned. There has been, the state ministers been blaming to the center that they haven't got the required oxygen supply, but the center have also came out with the fact that the Maharashtra has got the maximum number of remdesivir also, and as well as oxygen supply. In line with that, the center has also had a provision that they can supply extra or more oxygens, especially for the medical care in Maharashtra, and they've made a instance for that as well. Most important factor is that the Mumbai, Pune, these are the cities which are worst affected. Even yesterday, if you look at this number, the number have increased in Mumbai also and in Pune also. And of course, not availability of oxygen beds or ventilators will create this problem in a bigger one. And that's the reason especially the Mumbai Municipal Corporation Authority have taken the note of it and has now started many jumbo COVID centers here. Apart from that, the Swaminarayan Temple in Mumbai have also come out with the helping hand here. They have set up a complete COVID care center, and they've also said that those will be treated in this COVID care center. All the expenses will be borne by the Swaminarayan Temple. So obviously, these kind of NGOs, institutions is coming forward for the Mumbaikars also, apart from the government officials, because if you look at the capacity of the government organizations and the infrastructure, it has got a limited numbers, and that's the reason the people will have to come forward, and it shows a good result from the Swaminarayan Temple that they have come forward. And going forward, we may see some of these kind of NGOs and so the private institutes also will come together.
Right, Shishir, and when we talk about people of Mumbai in general, clearly understanding as always the grimness of the situation, they seem, the streets look deserted. Can we assume that only people with emergency situations, only people with very necessary work are venturing out of their homes?
Well, absolutely. We have seen here that the people have actually confined to their homes, as what been told by the Maharashtra government also, and the authority, local authority as well. But still, there has been some of the vehicular movement, because the state government has not, it's not a strict lockdown per se. There are a few services that are open, and that's the reason people have been seen on the streets here. People are going to the office, which comes under the essential services. But apart from that, also, as we rightly said here, that some relief given to the Mumbaikar, for example, being in shops which are open only for the parcels, the hotels are open only for the parcels. Even the local public transports is been allowed here. So obviously, few services have been exempted, and that's the reason we can see people on the streets working, going for the offices. But looking at the entire situation here, and especially the numbers here, even the state government is quite worried, and that's the reason just a couple of days back, even yesterday also, one of the cabinet minister in Maharashtra said that if the numbers continues, then probably the state government will take stern action and will come out with the strict lockdown going forward if the number continues. That's what he hinted. And that's the reason even the Mumbai police has come out with the idea of color code for the vehicular movement here. So obviously, if this number doesn't go down here, because 67,000 is maximum number that Maharashtra has registered so far, it's just a 4-day now. And that's the reason going forward, if the number continues, then we may see some of the strict action from the state government as well.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Shishir, for joining us there and for those inputs. And time now to move across. Before that, let's take a look at updated data of the latest COVID figures across India. According to Health and Family Welfare Ministry, as many as 1,38,423 people have recovered since the past 24 hours, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 1,28,02,9,643. With this, the recovery rate currently stands at 86.62%. India's total active caseload stands at over 18 lakhs. The country's present active caseload consists of 12.18% of total positive cases. The fatality rate stands at 1.20%. Total vaccinations across the country have crossed over 12 crore 26 lakhs, with more than 26 lakh 84,000 vaccine doses administered on Saturday. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered stands at 12 crore 26 lakhs 22,590. A total of 26 lakhs 84,956 vaccine doses were administered on Saturday, that is the 92nd day of India's largest vaccination program. On Saturday, 60,057 COVID vaccination centers were operational, marking a rise of more than 15,000 operational vaccination centers. Workplace vaccinations have also enabled such a high turnout of beneficiaries. Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul has said that vaccination does not guarantee immunity from infection, but he assured that those who are infected after vaccination are sure that the severity of infection will be low. The Niti Aayog member has advised people to wear masks and follow COVID-appropriate behavior at all times.
वैक्सीन लेने के बाद भी अपने बचाने के जो अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर है, मास्क लगाना, डिस्टेंसिंग करना, इसको करना होगा, क्योंकि अगर दूसरे व्यक्ति के पास बहुत सारा वायरल लोड है तो आपको सारा ही शस्त्र जो है वो इकट्ठे चाहिए। ये हो सकता है कि वैक्सीन मिलने के बाद भी इन्फेक्शन हो, लेकिन ये याद रहे कि वैक्सीन के बाद होने वाली इन्फेक्शन में आप उम्मीद करेंगे कि जो बीमारी होगी वो सीरियस नहीं होनी चाहिए।
And looking at COVID testing updates, as per Indian Council of Medical Research, over 26 crore 65 lakh 38,000 samples have been tested for COVID-19 in the country so far. On Friday, more than 15 lakh 66,300 samples were tested for COVID-19. The Defence Research and Development Organization is set to reopen the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel COVID Hospital in Delhi Cantonment tomorrow to start treatment of COVID-19 patients. The facility will be made operational with 250 beds by Monday, and the number of beds will be increased to 500 thereafter. The 1,000-bed facility, which was set up near the airport, wound up in February's first week. Officials say all the beds will have oxygen cylinders and the facility will have adequate number of ventilators as well as all required medical infrastructure. Major General S.S. Bhatia will be commanding the facility. For admission, an RT-PCR COVID positive report and Aadhaar card will be necessary. And it's time now for a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned and keep watching News on the Hour.
Kitchen waste, green waste, dried leaves from the garden, which are a source of carbon.
The money we received from the government added to our savings all went into the rice mill. I was into athletics before going in for judo, which really attracted me. It is a wonderful sport for girls and very beneficial.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching News on the Hour, and on now to some election-related news. Campaigning continues to gain momentum for the remaining 3 phases of polling in West Bengal. In the 6th phase, polling will be held on the 22nd of April for 43 assembly seats in 4 districts of the state. Senior BJP leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah will address public meetings in Purbasthali, Uttar and in Swarup Nagar. Amit Shah is also scheduled to hold road shows in Nakashi Para and Habra. Other leaders from across parties are also in the forefront of the campaign. And joining us now is our correspondent Prasenjit Bakshi with all the updates on the polling as well as the campaigning. Prasenjit, we believe campaigning is on in full swing. Give us a sense of the pitch of the various parties in the fray. Who are the candidates, prominent candidates, whose fates will be decided in the next phase?
Keeping the COVID situation in mind, all the political parties has toned down the intensity of campaign since the last phase. BJP also has reduced the number of leaders they were visiting from different parts of the country to campaign in West Bengal. This is now only the Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah and sometime Prime Minister Narendra Modi are coming. As you know that UP Chief Minister is not feeling well and many other leaders are all not feeling well. So that intensity has reduced, but Amit Shah is continuing the campaign and he will be in different places in the state today. But Mithun Chakravarti is again another leader who is being used in a very big way by the BJP. And Dilip Ghosh, of course, there and some other local leaders. But as I said, that the pitch has slowed down, and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also restricted her campaign in only 2 or 3 rallies every day, and she is also restricted her party leaders from campaigning big rallies. Left parties has restricted big rallies. In case of Trinamool Congress, it is only Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee who are holding rallies. So on one side, 3 phases of elections are left and campaigning will be there. But one more thing I must say, Rukma, that Election Commission has extended the time of cooling period from 48 hours to 72 hours. So I must say that for the 6th phase, today is the only day for the campaign, and from tomorrow the cooling period will begin. So in that way, a mix and match situation is there for the next 3 phases of elections. Rukma.
Right, Prasenjit, when we talk about important candidates for each of the prominent parties in the fray, who would you say are the most prominent faces of this phase?
Look, I must say that leaders like in Trinamool Congress, leaders like Sujit Basu, leaders like Madan Mitra, leaders like what I must say that the actors turned politicians, they are in the fray. But so far, I must say that in the next 3 phases, the prominent leaders, the number of prominent leaders have reduced because almost all of them has completed their part of elections, and now it is the turn for the some leaders like Firad Hakim, the former Kolkata mayor. He is in the fray in the last phase of election, and some other Trinamool Congress leader and BJP in terms of big leaders. Almost all of them have completed their part of elections in the last 5 phases of polling.
So, well, Prasenjit, can we say that, conclude now that for the 6th phase of polling, it's clearly seen that COVID considerations have caused most parties to tone down campaigning, even though leaders like Amit Shah continuing to campaign there, continuing to hold rallies as well as road shows, and well, people there thronging to those rallies and road shows, even as COVID considerations are uppermost on the minds of the Election Commission, on the minds of other state authorities. Well, thank you very much for joining us there and for your inputs. You keep your eyes on that story. We'll be back with you throughout the day for more. And now moving on in international news, US President Joe Biden on Saturday said he will increase the maximum number of refugees admitted this year to the United States from 15,000 Biden received sharp criticism as he signed an order on Friday limiting U.S. refugee admissions this year to the historically low 15,000 cap set under his predecessor Donald Trump, shelving a plan to raise it to 62,500. The White House issued a statement saying Biden would set a final increased refugee cap for the remainder of this fiscal year by the 15th of May. UN nuclear watchdog IAEA on Saturday said Iran has started the process of enriching uranium to 60% fissile purity at an above-ground nuclear plant at Natanz. The move has complicated talks aimed at reviving Iran's nuclear deal with major powers, as it is a big step towards producing weapons-grade uranium. Earlier, Iran had only reached 20% purity, and that was already a breach of the deal, which says Iran can only enrich to 3.67%. Iran made the step up to 60% in response to an explosion that damaged equipment at the larger underground fuel enrichment plant at Natanz. Tehran has blamed Israel and named a man wanted in connection with the blast. UF6 is uranium hexafluoride, the form in which uranium is fed into centrifuges for enrichment. U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry on Saturday met South Korean Foreign Minister Chung Eui-yong in Seoul ahead of President Joe Biden's Leaders Summit on Climate. Kerry arrived at the official residence of the South Korean Foreign Minister, where a banquet was hosted by Chung. Kerry's visit to Seoul is part of an Asia trip aimed to discuss international efforts in tackling global warming. Biden will hold a virtual summit with world leaders on climate change on the 22nd and the 23rd of April, which are his first major foray into climate talks since re-entering the Paris Climate Accord. And South Korea has raised concerns over Japan's decision to release contaminated water from its crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea with visiting U.S. climate envoy John Kerry. South Korea's foreign ministry said Kerry has reaffirmed Washington's confidence in the plan's transparency and relations with Tokyo. Kerry and South Korean foreign minister held a dinner meeting where Chung Eui-yong sought to rally support behind its protest against the Fukushima plan, under which more than 1 million tons of water will be discharged from the plant wrecked by a 2011 earthquake and tsunami, starting in about 2 years.
States is confident that the government of Japan has had very full consultations with the IAEA. That the IAEA has set up a very rigorous process, and I know that Japan has weighed all the options and the effects, and they've been very transparent about the decision and the process.
Myanmar's junta has on Saturday pardoned and released 23,184 prisoners to mark the traditional Thingyan New Year holiday. However, it is not known if those released include pro-democracy activists detained under the military-seized power coup on the 1st of February. Saturday marked the first day of the traditional New Year in Myanmar and the last day of a 5-day holiday that is usually celebrated with visits to Buddhist temples and rowdy water throwing and partying in the streets. Myanmar has been in upheaval since the coup, which the military defended with accusations of fraud in a November election won by Aung San Suu Kyi's party, though the Election Commission of Myanmar dismissed the objections. Meanwhile, protesters in Myanmar's Mandalay clashed with security forces on Saturday after the group congregated to show support to the National Unity Government. Political leaders, including ousted members of parliament, announced the formation of a National Unity Government on the 16th of April, including Aung San Suu Kyi and leaders of the anti-coup protests and ethnic minorities. Myanmar has been in upheaval since Min Aung Hlaing ousted the elected government led by democracy champion Suu Kyi, with security forces so far killing 728 in an attempt to stamp out the protests. In Cochabamba, Bolivia, thousands turned out on Saturday to cheer on former President Evo Morales after his ruling Socialist Party suffered key losses in recent regional elections. Nearly 3 million people cast their ballots on the 12th of April in a vote that decided the mayors and governors of some of the country's most important regions, but results showed opposition candidates as the big winners, giving the ruling movement Socialism Party its worst showing in the polls since 2015. Despite the losses, the Socialist Party still holds a significant sway with majorities in 6 of Bolivia's 9 departments. Britain's Prince Philip was laid to rest on Saturday during a scaled-down ceremony that celebrated his 7 decades of service. There were just 30 mourners inside the chapel because of continuing coronavirus restrictions in Britain. There were no eulogies, just brief words of praise for the Prince from the Dean of Windsor and Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, in their prayers.
In St. George's Chapel, the clouds are piled up.
Queen Elizabeth and her family on Saturday paid their last respects to Prince Philip at a funeral that celebrated his naval past, his international heritage and 7 decades of service, in which he helped guide the Queen through repeated crises. The Queen was placed alone in the ceremony at St. George's Chapel with her children, grandchildren and a group of select royal mourners, separated due to COVID-19 rules. Philip's naval cap and sword lay on top of the coffin, which was covered with the Duke of Edinburgh's personal standard, featuring the Danish coat of arms, the Greek cross, Edinburgh Castle and the stripes of the Mountbatten family. Philip, officially known as the Duke of Edinburgh, died aged 99 on the 9th of April. Before the procession, military bands spaced out across the quadrangle of Windsor Castle to play the Prince's chosen music, including I Vow to Thee, My Country, Jerusalem and Nimrod. And now COVID-19 updates from across the world. More than 14 crore 13 lakh people worldwide have so far tested positive for COVID-19, while over 11 crore 99 lakh have recovered from the coronavirus. The deadly virus has so far claimed over 30 lakh 24,000 lives globally. The US continues to be the worst affected country by the COVID pandemic. So far, more than 3 crore 23 lakh people have tested positive for COVID, while over 5 lakh 80,000 have died of the virus in the US. Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaido led protesters through the streets of Caracas on Saturday to demand COVID-19 vaccines be allowed into the country amid a stalled immunization campaign and rising infections. Venezuela has reportedly acquired 3 lakh Sputnik V vaccines and 5 lakh doses of the shot developed by China's Sinopharm, which so far has been administered to public officials, health workers, teachers and some senior citizens. But pressure is on the government to step up the number of vaccines made available. The COVAX global vaccine program had offered to sell doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine to Venezuela pending a payment arrangement. But President Nicolas Maduro's government blocked its use following concerns about blood clotting. Venezuela has reported over 1,78,000 cases of coronavirus and more than 1,800 deaths, according to official figures. The Canadian province of Ontario expanded and extended a stay-at-home order on Friday and said police will be given new powers to stop and question people who leave home, as expert advisors warned that new cases of COVID-19 will continue to soar, overwhelming hospitals. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the Canadian government would help hard-hit Toronto, the province's capital and the country's largest city. Ontario also announced restrictions on non-essential travel from neighbouring provinces starting Monday and said non-essential construction, including building projects at malls, hotels and office towers, will shut down as of Saturday to deal with a raging third wave. In recent weeks, Ontario has closed schools, restaurants, limited in-store shopping and cancelled elective surgeries as a surge of admissions threatened to overwhelm hospitals. Argentines on Saturday took to the streets of Buenos Aires to protest new lockdown measures brought back this week as daily COVID cases surged to record highs. From 16th of April, new curfew measures came into place in Argentina. Throughout April, Argentines will not be allowed to step out after 8 p.m. Indoor activities banned in public spaces and schools have been ordered to remain closed. The restrictions have already sparked a battle between the federal government of centre-left President Alberto Fernandez and Buenos Aires' city mayor, who strongly opposes the school shutdown and has said he was not consulted on the measures. Argentina has so far recorded over 26,77,000 COVID-19 cases. The deadly virus has claimed over 59,100 lives in the country. And here in the bulletin, it's time for another short break. We'll be right back. More up ahead. Stay with us.
A quick look at the day's top news. 100 big stories from across the country and the world in just 30 minutes. Watch Express News Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. only on DD India.
As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching news on the hour, and now for news from the world of sports. Barcelona scored 4 goals in 12 minutes, including a brilliant strike from Lionel Messi to thrash Athletic Bilbao and win the Copa del Rey. Barca were frustrated until the 60th minute when Antoine Griezmann turned in Frankie de Jong's cross before de Jong headed in himself 3 minutes later. Messi then drove from his own half, exchanged twice with de Jong and found the bottom corner for Barca's third. Messi added his second 4 minutes later, sweeping in Jordi Alba's cross. Victory gives Barca their first trophy under manager Ronald Koeman and their first silverware since 2019. Meanwhile, Chelsea beat Manchester City 1-0 on Saturday to book a place in next month's FA Cup final thanks to a second-half goal by Hakim Ziyech, which ended City manager Pep Guardiola's dream of steering his side to an unprecedented quadruple of titles. Ziyech scored in the 55th minute when he tapped into an empty net from a cross by Timo Werner, with City goalkeeper Zach Steffen in no man's land after racing off his line to close Werner down, but then seeming to change his mind. Leicester City will take on Southampton in the second semi-final today. Indian wrestler Ravi Dahiya retained his Asian Championship title with a solid performance. Ravi Dahiya gave India the first freestyle gold medal of this edition with a commanding show. His supreme stamina and relentless attacking prowess were too good for his opponents in the 57 kg category. He returned to the mat after a year and in style. Bajrang Punia settled for a silver medal after withdrawing from the much-awaited final against Takuto Otoguro due to an elbow injury on Saturday. And Sunrisers Hyderabad's middle order continued to misfire as spinner Rahul Chahar and pacer Trent Bolt fashioned Mumbai Indians to a 13-run win in the IPL match on Saturday. Defending 150, leg spinner Chahar scored 3 for 19, stifled the middle order before Bolt 3 for 28 polished off the tail as SRH were bowled out for 137 in 19.4 overs. Opting to bat, Mumbai Indians had a good start, but Vijay Shankar and Mujibur Rahman claimed 2 wickets each as Sunrisers Hyderabad stemmed the flow of runs in the middle overs. However, Kieran Pollard managed to lift Mumbai Indians to 150 for 5 with the help of a 22-ball 35, which included 2 sixes off the last 2 balls of their innings. Chasing 151 for a win, Johnny Bairstow smashed the 22-ball 35 to give SRH a rollicking start, while David Warner too managed a 36 off 34, but once the duo were back in the hut, the middle order again failed to come to the fore. And today is World Heritage Day. World Heritage Day encourages us to celebrate all the world's cultures and to bring awareness to important cultural monuments and sites and to espouse the importance of preserving the world's cultures. This year, the theme of this special day is Complex Pasts, Diverse Future. The theme is calling people of all religions to come together, keeping aside their differences and giving out the message of solidarity. Union Minister Prahlad Singh Patel will deliver the inaugural address and also inaugurate the online exhibition on the Ramayana, the epic by Maharishi Valmiki today. The webinar will explore the extensive and splendid tangible and intangible heritage of India and how it enriches tourist experience. Oscar-nominated movies Soul and Wolf Walkers were the big winners at the 48th Annual Annie Awards on Friday. Soul is a Pixar animation and is about a black music teacher, while Wolf Walkers is a story about a young female hunter. Soul scooped 7 prizes at the virtual ceremony, including Best Feature and Music, while Wolf Walkers scored 5 Annie Awards, including Best Independent Feature and Direction for a Feature for the Fantasies filmmakers Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. Other wins included one for live-action series The Mandalorian, the next adventure in the Star Wars movie and TV franchise for character animation in a live-action production. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD India. And so keep watching. Meanwhile, here's a quick reminder. Don't forget, if you have to set out of your homes today, don't forget to wear a mask. It's the best protection against COVID infections, safety for yourself and for your loved ones and near and dear ones as well. So do wear a mask if you have to step out of the house. Maintain social distancing and other COVID protocols. That's all from me for now. Namaskar.